Happy Easter, everybody. Welcome back to Cara's Cucina. I have the OG Cara's Cucina guest, Mama D, in the house with us today, and we are making one of my grandmother's Easter recipes. Okay, so we recently figured out that, first of all, our family says this in heavy dialect.
Yes, because my entire life, this was called Bugie.
Bugie.
And I started looking it up, and it's because it's spelled B-U-G-I-E. It's Bugie. So
Yeah.
Bugie to Bugie. Now I find out now that we pronounced everything wrong.
Well, that's a heavy Piemontese dialect, which is not often found here in the U.S. A lot of Italian immigrants came from southern Italy, so we're a little bit unique in that.
Yes, we are.
But it means lies. Bugie are lies in Italian, and this is typically a dish for Carnevale in Italy. Yep. Nanny always made it for Easter.
Yes.
And it was it's fried dough. And so we found, this was my grandmother's cookbook that she always, kept and worked with. And while they are, printed recipes, obviously she's got all her notes in the margins. And this was, we didn't find any of this stuff till after they passed away. She passed away. And this is really how we learned to do, because you didn't do this with her. This was something you said she started doing.
My grandmother used to do it. Nonny used to do it. But then Nanny does it, but I love this book because she's changed recipes. She has everything, like you said, she changes all these.
Right, she pulled out all the liqueurs.
She pulled that and put that liqueur that they liked.
Yes. And then did no oil, but lemon juice instead, because it absorbs the oil or prevents the absorption of oil.
Prevents the absorption.
That's what it is. So we're using Nanny's recipe as it is noted in this book. But so we've got our ingredients. We've got flour, basically.
Flour, sugar, baking powder, and a pinch of salt. I have the dry ingredients.
You've got the dry ingredients.
We're going to just mix together a little bit.
Okay.
And you have the liquid.
And I have the liquid. So we have 3 egg yolks. It's going to be the juice of half a lemon, tablespoon and a half of butter. We've got some vanilla extract, half cup of milk. And then we find these recipes all the time online as well. And everybody calls for a different liqueur. Nanny used Harvey's Bristol cream because Grandpa always drank Harvey's Bristol cream. So that's the one that we use.
Nonny probably has
Grand Marnier. That was hers. Okay, so you're going to combine all of our dry ingredients. I'm putting all the wet in the stand mixer?
Yeah, you're going to just mix that together, and then once I just have to mix these together, and we're going to pour the dry into the wet.
Okay, so I'm going to get started over here, and let me grab a little spatula so I can get all that out of there. Now, Mom, you were saying you never actually did this with Nanny. Nanny started doing this when you were older and we were born and...
Yes, because Nonny made it, and you never made anything that Nonny made because she would sit there and say, okay, which one is better? So we stopped making stuff because she would want you to compare it all the time. So we would just...
But she would leave things out of her recipes too that she would give us, right?
Exactly. She always did that. From previous posts that you've done, like the chocolate torta.
The chocolate torta. We never knew how to do that.
Chocolate chestnut torta.
Yeah.
That I asked her for the recipe, and she dictated it to me, and she left out, but she didn't leave stuff out. Remember she says something like reserve the water from the dry chestnuts.
Oh yeah.
And then they're not used anywhere.
Never says. Oh yes.
She drinks it. I knew she drank it.
I'm putting all this in here, right? Including the
half a lemon, right?
Yeah. No, but I meant all the liquids.
Yes, all the liquids go together.
Okay. So we tested this out, and this is we're having the recipe as it was in the book because when we did holidays back in the day, we were like 30 people. People are always kind of amazed when we used to do holiday recipes, but nobody needs that much fried dough as much as I love it. So we halved the recipe for you guys. Ooh, I spilt some of the Harveys. That's not good.
Don't they also do what we do for Carnevale, similar to the strufoli that we make at Christmas?
Yes. I think every region of Italy has their own fried dough version for
But where Daddy's region, they also make this, but
They
they
make
call it
something that they call it chiacchiere, which
Chiacchiere,
is
chatter.
chatter. So lies, chatter. I think there's another reason a little further south they call it gossip. So if you grew up with something like this, that's what's familiar.
Yeah,
but again,
different
this
names. It's basically all the same. It's all fried dough with powdered
is it's all
sugar,
fried
so-
dough with powdered sugar, and you can't go wrong. So we're gonna let this get mixed up.
I'm gonna keep this to scrape down the
Well-
sides a little bit.
Yep. Okay. We can add all of this in at once?
I do half at a time.
Okay.
You never know.
Do you want me to put this closer so you can determine when it's
I'd
ready?
like to see what it
Yes.
looks like, yes.
We can do a little bit at a time.
Yeah.
I think we got our liquids just right on this time.
And then once we make this dough, it has to sit for a half hour. Just has to rest at room temperature.
Covered?
No. Just it can stay
just
right
let
in
it hang
here, and then
right in here.
we'll put it out on the floured surface.
Last bit of flour. It's gonna be a very loose dough. Just shy of a batter.
And if it's a little too loose, we might add a little more
We
flour.
can always add more flour. We're really just checking the texture of the dough. So right now, the way it looks, it's a little too wet. It's not gonna be something that we can work with.
It's going to be sticky.
Do you wanna let it sit and then we'll play with it?
No, let me put a little another spoon in. I put in, we did what, 2 cups, and now we did 2 tablespoons.
Just a tablespoon at a time.
It's like any other dough recipe. You have to kind of play with it.
Right.
Until it reaches, we don't smell it, but you can tell by looking.
It's a typical nanny recipe. Smell it, how it looks.
It really is how it looks. I think it's okay. I think we let it sit. We have to let it sit for 30 minutes, and then when we put it out, put a nice amount of flour on the board.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
You want this?
Yes, please.
I can't work like this. Yeah, so you see, it's
sticky. It's a sticky
sticky.
dough.
It is, but it has to be, right?
Yeah, because it needs a lot of stretch to it. And they're very light, these things, when they're all done. Very lightweight.
Well, they're supposed to be.
See what happens.
And then we'll let this sit. And it doesn't have to be covered, huh? Just let it sit out room temperature.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, dough has been hanging out for about 30 minutes. It's still pretty sticky, so we're gonna get some flour on here and get it to the right consistency. And then Mom, you've got, so we use...
I use canola oil, Cara. I think that's the better,
That's the better one.
yeah, the better
Well,
one to
Nani, I
use.
think Nani always fried in canola oil too, didn't she?
Who knows? Olive oil, probably. But I use canola oil, and I use my electric. It's one of my first wedding gifts, and I love it.
So we're just gonna take the dough a couple small pieces at a time. And I'm gonna start with my hand. And I'm just gonna use my rolling pin to get this nice and smooth. The shape of it, not so critical, as just making sure it's not too sticky and getting it nice and thin.
It's supposed to be really, really light. So you've got to get that nice and thin.
Nice and papered thin.
I think the dough looks like a good consistency.
Yeah, the dough
you know?
came out nice.
It's almost translucent, you see that?
Yeah,
Nice and thin.
nice and thin. There we go. So that is kind of what you're looking for though. So you can see it's very, very thin, soft, fine dough. So that's what we're looking for. And then we're actually going to use our, this was my great-grandmother's tool, but it's the fluted pasta cutter. You can just use a straight edge knife if you don't have one of these in your home, it's fine. And we're basically cutting triangles for the most part. Again, shape not so critical, but you do just kind of want them ballpark the same size. So get some strips or pieces out of here. Mine's not as sharp as yours.
Yeah, I was going to say, why is that?
Because I have the older one. Anyways, then to form them, you're just gonna put another little cut down the middle, and we're gonna just flip the edges through. So if it's a triangle, just do one side. If it's more of a rectangle, do both. And then set those over there.
You can just do one on that.
Do just one on this side?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was wondering how you made these shapes.
Yeah, you do too.
Yeah, it's just one. We never did these. We
'cause-
never did these together.
No,
And I didn't even do them with my mom.
we remember eating these more than anything.
That's our
That's the
problem.
memory, is we remember eating.
And once again, you're not allowed to fry. I can.
I know, yes.
Can I start to put some of these in?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so just, if anybody's ever seen our Strufoli video, at this point I am now approaching, in a few more years, 40 years old, and I am still not allowed to touch the hot oil.
Because I don't want you to get hurt.
I understand.
Look, see how nice? It's
Yes, nice and
and
light. We're not the same person, not at all.
It smells good.
It smells delicious. The dough smells good. You really smell the Harveys in this. That's what
You
it comes-
do?
Yeah, you don't smell it?
No, I don't.
I smell the Harveys and I smell lemon.
To me, fried dough just smells so good.
And then we just have prepared here, this is some cardboard that we really lined with paper towel so that when they're ready and Mom pulls them out of the hot oil, they can drain there.
Okay, these look like they're dark. That's dark enough, right?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, so you just want to fry them till that nice golden brown color. Are you really my mother?
No.
This particular recipe is Piemontes, which is the part that's right near France, that you didn't really get. America does not have too many northern Italian immigrants. A lot of them came from southern Italy. A lot of the Italian American foods that we're familiar with are riffs off of southern Italian dishes. So, but again, this particular dish, I think every region has their
Every
own
region
version.
has, because Daddy's region makes this,
Yes,
but it's called the
chiacchiere,
chatter.
chatter.
Because
So lies,
I just saw,
chatter, gossip.
I just saw a lot of, and I just got a newsletter today about Italian homes, and it was in there too.
Oh, was it?
Yes.
The girls put it in?
The girls put it in. That was the last.
If you guys haven't had a chance to check out My Cheap Italian Home on Instagram, they are dear friends of mine, and they do wonderful work. And if you've ever thought you might like to own a piece of property in Italy, that is who you want to talk to about it.
And they're like, you know, they always include a recipe at the end of their newsletter. And the recipe was this.
Oh,
And
nice.
it's all similar. It's all we
Right.
might put a little.
Wait,
Anybody else puts butter in it.
That's naughty. The butter. It's got to be. There's a lot of cultures around the planet that celebrate Carnivale, including here in the U.S. New Orleans is most known for Fat Tuesday, Martedì di Grasso.
Wait, what'd you say?
Martedì di Grasso.
Oh, Mardi Gras.
Yeah.
Huh,
But in
Martedì
Italian,
Gras.
Martedì di Grasso.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, so Carnival really started in Venice, Italy. So again, also in the north, but the other coast from where our family's from. And it's the day before Ash Wednesday, so it leads into the 40 days of Lent, which are usually 40 days of fasting and repenting and things like that. So the whole point of Mardi Gras Fat Tuesday is everything is indulgent and luxurious, and that's why it's fried doughs and sweets.
Do you know that this originated in Rome, though?
In Rome?
In Rome.
No, I didn't know that.
But to me, how many different things do Italians make with fried dough? Everything.
Everything. We do all the things with the fried dough.
Like they get crispier as they cool
kind of
off.
cool and dry.
Yeah. So do you remember the first time you went to Italy?
Yeah. Yes, I was. I hate all of you.
Our first family trip.
Was that our first? No, we went to Disney.
No. But to Italy.
But to Italy, yes, that was the first trip to Italy. I was in the 4th grade. Yes, absolutely.
With Graham and Pop.
With Graham and Pop, and it was for Easter.
It was Easter, yes.
And I remember because we were with Peppino. So my cousin, now he's retired, but he was a bishop with the Catholic Church in Italy. So we stayed with him, and an entire marching band came to pick us up for Easter Sunday Mass.
In Sulmona.
In Sulmona, in Abruzzo. So that's my dad's side. I remember, I loved the parade. They do a lot of religious parades. So I remember Black Friday processions. You know, they do the funeral procession for Jesus, and they marched a statue of his body through the streets, and they sing these hymns that are
You and I were watching
haunting.
it on the balcony.
Up on the balcony, yeah. But then Easter Sunday's so much cooler because I love when they run the Virgin Mary out to the statue. And they're all, I mean, these are like 100-pound statues, very heavy statues, like several 100 pounds. And these guys carry them up on their shoulders and walk around with them. Actually, we have video of that too. And yeah, I remember all that. It was amazing. I unfortunately, you know, believe it or not, I was a picky eater as a kid. So I just remember the nuns laughing at Joseph and I because all we wanted was pasta with butter and bread with butter. And they were like, what do you feed these kids?
They would go in and make pizza for Joseph because he wouldn't eat anything that they had.
No, Joseph. And then I remember when I did study abroad and I stayed with them, and because he was a bishop, they always kept, you know, during Lent, you know, we don't eat meat on Fridays, but he kept it year round.
Oh, really?
Yes, and I remember they made fish, but they made like a whole fish with like the head and everything, and I was like, no, this is not for me. And they looked at me and went, well, what do you eat in America on Fridays? And I didn't have the heart to be like, we're all a bunch of heathens, we eat whatever we want.
No, that's not
No,
true.
well, so then I was like, but pizza, typically we have pizza. So they ordered me, the next Friday, they ordered me my own pizza for dinner. I was like, I'm such an asshole. It's fine. It's YouTube. And then I remember when the marching band picked us up, Grammy was sitting there.
Pointing out the guys.
I'm 10. Look at that one, Cara. He's short. That would make a nice husband. I was like, Matt, Grammy, I'm 10.
And do you remember right outside, I don't know if it was like on a different night, they had the guy out there that was making the toroni?
Yes. Right
Daddy,
outside
Daddy
the park.
bought big piece.
Daddy,
Yes.
yeah.
Yep.
Oh my God, that stuff was so good.
One of the few people that still cling to tradition here.
This is true. That is always my favorite. I love when people are like, oh yeah, I remember my grandmother used to make those too.
Well, you get a lot of comments like that with people that make it, but
Yeah.
make different things. But
Yep.
we truly, and I'm very proud of you that you continue the traditions.
It's good food's good food. It's hard to argue with. Once they're nice and cool, you want to top them with powdered sugar and enjoy generously and in abundance for Carnevale, for Lent, for Easter. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for coming. I always appreciate you.
Love you, honey.
Love you. Salud. Powdered sugar everywhere.
And I've got wearing black here.